what support do you see in ending the diversions of the motor vehicle sales tax? It is in the budget. I mean, we have ended all diversions. The biggest of being the Texas Department of Public Safety. So we moved them to general revenue. So it's a big deal, guys, that we're going to take your 20 cents and actually dedicate it to highway funding. Now, the good news is that SB 5 takes more money from the motor vehicle sales tax and dedicates it to Fund 6, and it cannot be used for toll roads. Yay! But there is, could it supplant other money? That's what I've been working on. Right here, I think it was.
One point I would suggest is an amendment to add to some of the tollway bills to require that the tollway authority send an annual statement of your toll charges to people who at least spend $250 a year on the tollway. Trust me, right now most people have no clue how much they're spending on the tollways. And if you get it, it's the only tax I pay that I don't get a statement from it.
That is a good point.
The sales tax too. You don't know how much. That's a pretty good point, guys. That I'm not sure that everybody understands it. Every time I come into Austin, I literally last night driving in was weighing the pros and cons. Do I go the toll and pay, or do I go off onto the frontage road? And many times when I'm coming in, I'm in a bit of a hurry. I spend every second I can at home with those kids. But I think that's excellent. That's an excellent thought process. I'm going to go here, and then I'll end with you.
Eminent domain, it should be a local elected official that signs the paper that takes the property from anyone.
Now you're going from messing to meddling, huh? That's right. Which was a little bit of when I tried to make the Attorney General have to sign all the comprehensive development agreements. Do you remember the pushback on that? Yeah, when you put your name on the line, all of a sudden nobody wanted to sign any of those deals. And actually, guys, we got a form of that, and that's when the CDAs. Senator Nichols will tell you, and I really had to fight for that in that sunset bill. They wouldn't let me carry the transportation sunset bill. They just couldn't let me do it. And my good friend Glenn Hager, who I've had the blessing to replace, he really fought for those amendments. I mean, he really did. And the AG being on there, it slowed everything down. We're going to go here, and then we'll end with the John Deere tractor.
Misappropriation by a government agency like TxDOT. 281 was funded at one point, completely funded, and 15 years later we're fighting the fight. They had it, it would have been done, we wouldn't be here, and those guys on their own made these changes. And the other thing would be, I think it's already a bill, the people on the RMAs and the MPOs need to be elected because these boards are stacked with people that shouldn't have a vote. TxDOT shouldn't be on the board with 4 votes. VIA shouldn't be on the board with 4 votes. These people should, they're also all vested interests. They shouldn't be voting all this stuff. They're the ones that get the vote.
So let me address that. Number one, Terry Hall gets blamed for, none of that money going to the kidney, Terry. I'm aware of that. And do y'all remember when TxDOT lost $1 billion? Amadeo Signs was the executive director, and I called Amadeo to Brenham and sat down with him, and I said, now, who's lost his job over losing $1 billion? I mean, Jimmy and I run a business, right? And at the end of the day, cash registers don't balance. You have the opportunity to either make it whole, or you can go find other employment, right? If there's a mistake made, I mean, nobody lost their job over $1 billion. Wow, that's pretty incredible, right?
That's why we're here.
And so, having said that is, on the RMAs and MPOs, I would ask y'all, I have a vast rural area. I have a hugely growing Fort Bend County. I'm proud to represent them. But RMAs and MPOs are not prolific in Senate District 18. I would ask y'all to get other senators involved. It's hard for me to carry a bill to correct your area or your area when I'm not the senator from that area. And I see my good friend and colleague Don Huffines coming into the area, into the room here, and he's going to be a great addition to the Senate. But those are things, I'm going to hit it again, transparency, transparency, transparency. When we set up those RMAs and those MPOs, I wasn't for it, and everybody told me to stand down because you're never going to have them in your area. Well, let me say this, guys. Those are mini TxDOTs out there everywhere. And I say that with respect. I'm working with the general, and we met last week. And, hopefully, as Jane Nelson says, it's a new day. we're working on this new day, but, you know, some habits die hard. And, we have to keep working through this.
One last thing, what can you do to stop them from tearing up the ground until this is decided? Or they keep trying to say, you know, start moving dirt, and then once they start moving dirt, we're screwed. What can we do to stop them, whether you call it
I've carried a
moratorium or
moratorium
anything
before.
else, anything to stop them from starting?
They're cutting down the trees, they're
Yeah.
parking, and right on a person's driveway.
Yeah. So, if you're talking about a specific highway, if they've let the contract, I'm not sure how to do that.
Have they let a contract? Well, they haven't let a contract yet, but we're, you know, the money's gone, and it was already paid for, and they've altered I've got the original stuff they said for RMAs. We won't touch any existing US highways. And they came back in and got a legislative change of definition, so they could say, if we tear up this room and move it over there, we didn't touch your room. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I know if this room's gone, you touched it.
I got, you know, if it walks like a duck and looks like a duck.
That's right.
Walks and cracks like a duck, it might be a duck. I get it. And so we'll
Van
look
Taylor
into
has a
that.
bill on that.
Oh,
To
good,
address some
good.
of these things, yeah.
And then my favorite John Deere
That's right.
tractor that I remember.
Judge Wolf's $10 that he added to our car license and our farm trailer license, this, that, and the other. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
We're paying $10 extra on every set of license we get when we renew them, every time. And it's going into his slush fund, none of this. That doesn't seem right.
What county?
The RMA, it's going to the RMA.
Every
It's been on toll roads with census.
It's for
Nelson
every
Wolf.
Well,
Nelson Wolf.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Judge Wolf, okay. I had the pleasure of meeting you. So those are things that we have to work on. We do have to work on.
local votes,
Yeah, see, he got that pushed through without even coming for a vote.
no local vote.
No local vote.
Normally there is, so anyway, it got ran.
One last thing, why won't they let us vote? We never get to vote. And I live in a spot where they won't not only let me vote, they don't care what I say, because I'm outside of Bear County, but I've been paying for that road for 30 years to drive on it to go to work. But I have no say-so because of the rules they have in place. Why can't you vote?
Scott Sanford has a bill on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I do have to say something, that there's, you know, while I believe in local control, what we have seen is, you know, whether it's the federal government trying to drop in, you know, Medicaid expansion and the Affordable Care Act to each county and doing things differently. I mean, I still believe that we're a state, and there should be statewide policy that applies to, you know, our
state
state
highways.
highway system, a state highway, it's called a state highway system.
Which used to be the best
For a
we
reason.
had.
What's that?
Which used to be the best of the nation.
Yes, it did. And so I appreciate y'all so much. Again, really, thank you. Thank you for all the